Today I'm going to be doing a clip-in install. I'm going to be using 2 bundles of clip-ins by Posh Collection. I have an 18-inch and a 20-inch. I'm going to try to use all of it, but typically with clip-ins you get maybe about a bundle and a half in the head. So I'm just going to straighten my client's hair out. I already shampooed her. I'm just going to go through her hair with one pass with the heat, because when I put the clip-ins in her hair, I want to make sure I'm able to get the curl that I'm looking for.
So guys, basically what I mean by one pass is I'm just taking the heat through each strand of hair just one time. That way when I'm done with her install and ready to style her, I won't have straightened it so much to the point that it doesn't want to take the curls.
Okay, so I just straightened her hair out, and actually she has the perfect hair for clip-ins. She has the perfect length, so when I put the clip-ins in her hair, you're not going to see any lines of demarcation. It's going to blend in very well.
So each pack of clip-ins comes as a full bundle, which is equal to 100 grams. They usually come with 2 pieces that have 4 combs, 2 pieces that have 3 combs, and 2 pieces that have a single comb.
Now with clip-ins, you want to make sure you're doing straight lines. So you want to go straight across the hair. And what I mean by that is when I put my clip-in in the hair, I want it to go straight across. So you can't really like curve them or they'll buckle. So you want to make sure you're doing them straight across. So typically you would take the hair and just back comb it a bit. And then you would stick your comb in the hair and just snap it easily. So this is the way you can do it if you're doing it yourself and you just want something very quick and easy. But I'm going to show you guys a way that you can do it to where it lasts longer. So now this technique, you may not necessarily be able to do it yourself, but this is a way that a stylist can add clip-ins into their client's head and make it last longer. So you just want to part the hair off where the comb is going to go. Then we're going to use a micro bead. Angle it down and close the bead. Then you're going to take your clip-in where the comb is, open it, and snap it above the micro bead. So now that's going to allow you to style the hair without the clip-in sliding out. And you're going to do the same thing on the left and right side.
So when you are adding your hair to your micro bead, you want to make sure you use larger sections, maybe like a half an inch to about a quarter inch. This way, when you add your clip in, you're not putting too much weight on the hair. So you want to make sure you slide your micro bead as close to the scalp as possible without adding any tension on the hair. This is necessary so when you put your clip in the hair, you won't have too much movement if the bead is too far away from the scalp.
Find the comb, measure the placement, grab your hair, add the bead, angle the hair down so there's no tension, close the bead. Your comb is open, slide it in between the bead and snap. So even with this technique, it holds better and it keeps the clip in close to the scalp, but you still want to be mindful that you do have extensions in the hair. So you don't want to just go crazy and comb the hair. You still want to be gentle because you don't want the hair to snag or pull where the beads are located. So I just left some hair out on the side because I don't want to extend the clip in beyond her hairline. We still want to get somewhat of a natural look. And I'm going to do the ones in the back as close as possible to add more density in the back area.
So if you're not familiar with the word density, that's just another term for fullness. So you want to add your fullness and your length to the back of the head.
Okay, so now I'm going to install a clip-in that has 4 combs. I'll show you guys how to install 2 rows of clip-ins and overlap them to where you could fill in an entire space.
And the reason you want to do that is for symmetry, so you can have an even amount of hair on both sides of the head. Also, when you're putting the micro bead on the hair, be sure to pull the hair down at a 0-degree angle. This will allow the bead to lay completely flat. Open the comb on your clip-in, slide it above the micro bead, and then lightly press on it until you hear it snap. So with this method, you cannot pre-bead the entire row. You want to make sure you are doing one bead at a time because you are measuring the space where the bead needs to go so that the comb can go directly on top of the bead. Also, you want to make sure you're slightly pulling on the weft. You don't want to pull too tight to add tension, but you want to pull just enough so when you add your bead, the weft can easily go into the bead without the track buckling.
Okay, guys, so as you can see, my clip-in starts on one side, but it doesn't extend completely to the other side. So what I'm going to do is take my part that I already created on this side, and I'm just going to extend it a little bit higher, but then taper it into the clip-in below, so it'll look like it's just one row. Another one of my longer clip-ins with the 4 combs, and I'm just going to start it on this side and just extend it to make it taper into the previous clip-in.
So again, this is what's going to give you symmetry on both sides of the head. Because the clip-ins are not long enough to go from one side of the head to the other, you want to use 2 clip-in strips to give the illusion that it is one long clip-in weft. For clients that want a lot of density to their clip-ins, I would recommend putting your clip-ins closer together while you're on the lower part of the head. You don't really want to start piling too many clip-ins towards the top because that's going to make the head look bulky and make it complicated to hide the clip-in weft. So a client really only needs to purchase 2 bundles of clip-ins when you are doing a clip-in install. If they are going for a straighter, sleeker look, I would recommend getting both of the bundles in the same length. If they are going for a layered look, I would recommend getting the 2 bundles in 2 different lengths. This will allow the hair to look fuller and the curls to last longer.
So now I'm on the side and I'm going to use one of the clip-ins with 3 combs. And because I want coverage in the face, I'm going to clip it at an angle. That way it'll fall on her face, but you won't have that buckling because again, we can't do it rounded, so we have to do it straight. So I'm going to do one straight on this side and I'll do the same thing on the other side. And you see how it's going to give her that fullness in her face. Because if I do it straight like this, then you'll only get fullness on the side. So track placement is very important. Complete difference.
So this particular technique is not for clients who are looking for a lot of versatility. This technique is pretty much a stable install, which is only going to allow you to change up the curls. You can go from a straight curl, you can do a curly curl, you can do wand curls, things like that. But as far as pulling the hair up in a bun or a ponytail, this install won't allow that because you can risk damaging the hair by trying to take it in too many different directions. Using the micro beads to anchor the clip-ins will allow this install to last approximately 2 weeks or until your next shampoo. You want to make sure you remove the clip ins prior to the shampoo.
Okay, so now we want to match the other side up. Give it that same angle and apply your clip in.
So now I'm just starting my clip in row about the same area that I did on the opposite side because remember, symmetry is very important. I wanted it close to the edge without putting it directly on the edges of her hair, so I did leave some of the hair out, but each client is different, so be mindful of the strength of their hair.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys where I clipped the micro bead, but it's not exactly where I want it to be. I need it over a little bit further, so I'm just gonna remove it and apply a new one.
To remove the micro bead, you simply would use the same pliers that you used to install the micro bead. No removers or products are needed to remove them, so you can simply put the new micro bead in the place that you want and clamp your clip in right in. The closer you get to the top of the head, be sure to comb the hair down to check for flatness and to see if you have room to add more clip ins.
Typically, when a client has blunt cut hair, you want to make sure you're using more hair at the top so that it hides that blunt cut. If you put too much hair at the bottom and not enough at the top, then you will get this look. The only other way to get rid of this line of demarcation is to go in and razor the hair and cut layers. Okay, so we're getting closer to the top of her head, which you want to be very careful because although we need more coverage, we want to make sure that it doesn't leave her head looking lumpy from the clip ins. So again, I'm doing another angled clip in just to help add fullness to the side. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. So guys, I'm doing a middle part on my model. And you see this little area of her hair where it's thinner than the bundles. That's the area I want to focus on now. Now you see it's closer to the top of the head, so I want to be super careful that I'm covering up her hair without making it bulky on the top.
So, guys, now we are at the top of the head, and this is where you want to be super mindful of all the areas because you want to make sure that you have enough leave out on the top as well as on the edges to make your clip in install look as natural as possible. Again, you want to make sure you are putting the micro bead as close to the scalp without adding tension to the hair. And you also want to make sure you're putting enough hair in the micro bead so there's not too much weight from the clip in on the hair. These two methods are super important to allow your clip ins to lay flat. That way, when your client is styling their hair, they don't get the comb in between the clip in and risk damaging their hair.
Okay, guys, so you see how these two rows of clip ins are just going to form a V shape. So the reason again is so you can get the fullness in the face without getting a lot of buckling from trying to curve the weft.
So we are doing the same routine that we did on the opposite side. Be sure to check the space where your clip in needs to go before you attach your micro bead to make sure it is in the correct space. Also be sure that you are slightly pulling on the clip in weft to make sure it lays nice and flat. So now I'm about to add my next clip in weft. This is a shorter area, so I'll use one of the clip in pieces that has lesser combs. Clip-ins are great for enhancing your client's natural hair. It can either add fullness, length, or both. So you want to make sure that the texture you use matches your client's hair in order to make the install look as natural as possible.
So now, guys, you can see that the line of demarcation is not as heavy. You can barely see it. So I can curl her hair as is, but if I really want to get rid of it, I can go in and razor the hair. So that just gives you guys an idea of when you're putting your bundles in, what to look for in the hair and to make sure you cover it up. Okay, so now I'm going to blend the bundles in with her hair, and then we're going to curl it.
So I didn't have to do much cutting on her bundles because her hair blended in well with the hair. I just went across the front of the face and framed it a bit. Then I went across the bottom of the bundles just to remove any strands of hair that were out of place. I'm lightly misting the hair with the Perfect Polish by Posh Collection, and I'm using either a 1 inch barrel or 1 1/4 inch barrel to curl her hair away from the face, of course. Then I'm using my wax stick to tame any flyaways that she has on top of her head. Then I'm going behind it with the on the edge control just to give her a sleeker look along her edges. I also used a wig brush and just a regular rat tail comb just to break up her curls a bit and give it a looser look.
Okay, guys, so that concludes my clip-in tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, I used almost 2 bundles of the Posh Collection clip-ins. The only pieces I had left were the little small pieces. So everything else I actually was able to get in her head. And also, guys, remember, if you're just looking for a temporary wear with the clip-ins, you can just lightly tease the root of the hair and stick the clip in the hair. Now, if you're looking for longevity, maybe a couple weeks until your next shampoo, then you can add the micro beads and that'll give you a longer last. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.